Welcome to the sixth installment of the deep dive series from question to number 26 to 30. Let's get started right away. 26th. When salt is extracted from seawater in a solvent, what is the compound that precipitates along with sodium chloride? So, let's talk about how we extract salt from seawater. There are three steps, okay? First, fill the large tank, or we call it a shallow tank or a large tank, with seawater. Let it evaporate. Evaporation specifically refers to the process by which a liquid transforms into gas or vapor state at temperatures below its boiling point. Below, if it's below the boiling point, is evaporation, okay? Occurring at liquid surface. Evaporation occurs at liquid's surface. When the concentration of water becomes as twice as the initial concentration. Concentration means the amount of particles in a volume, right? As twice as the initial concentration, calcium carbonate begins to crystallize. Crystallizing means making tiny solid shapes called crystals from a liquid or gas and precipitate. Precipitation in here means the process of forming a solid substance from a solution. In other places, you can use precipitation as like word for raining, snowing, like that. So step 2, transfer the water to the next tank. We call it a medium tank and let it evaporate once again. When the concentration of water becomes as 4 times the initial concentration, 4 times the initial one, okay? Calcium sulfate crystallizes and settles down in the bottom. When concentration is 4 times, that means 1/4 of the original volume is now here. Okay, remember that as well. Step 3, transfer the water to the smaller tank. Let it evaporate. When the concentration of water becomes 10 times as the initial concentration, sodium chloride starts to crystallize and precipitate. Before the total precipitation of salt is complete, magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate begins to precipitate. Before the whole salt is completely crystallized, magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate happens to precipitate. These give a bitter taste. The next time you go to a beach, bring an aluminium plate with you and get a little bit of seawater and put it out in the sun and play or do whatever you do at the beach and come back after like few hours. It might be all evaporated. A little bit of salt might be in the plate. Taste it and going to taste a little bitter. It's because of this sodium chloride and magnesium sulfate. So with this solution, with the salt, magnesium chloride, magnesium sulfate, all it together, this is known as mother liquor or bittern. Okay, this pile of salt is stored for 6 months in like a huge like mountains in order to get rid of these compounds. These are magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate are water soluble. Okay, they goes with the water particles in the air. Answer is 2, magnesium chloride. Next question, 27th. The maximum upthrust exerted by water on a certain object is less than the weight of the object, then the object will. So, what is upthrust? Upthrust is the force with which a liquid or gas pushes up against an object that is floating in it. You can see a diagram here with a lot of letters. Don't mind the letters, just look at the thingy that is floating. Okay. When maximum upthrust is higher than the object's weight, as shown in the A picture, it floats partly immersed in water. When the upthrust is higher than the object, it floats partly immersed in water. When the maximum upthrust is the same as the weight of the object, it floats fully immersed in water like in the B picture. When the maximum upthrust is lower than the object's weight, as stated in the question, it will sink fully in water like in picture C. So the answer going to be answer 4, sink fully in water. 28th. What is the part common to the human digestive system and the human respiratory system? So we have a diagram here. We have the nasal cavity, we have the tongue, we have the oral cavity, then we have the pharynx, we have the epiglottis or the glottis, little thing up there, and we have the larynx opening into the pharynx. Then we have the larynx and we have the esophagus. Uh, Even though we can use our mouth to breathe, we don't consider it a part of the respiratory system. Also, you shouldn't breathe through your mouth. If you want to know about it, I'll make a video about it. I have done a few research about it. You shouldn't breathe from your mouth. You should always breathe from your nose. Okay. Esophagus is a muscular tube that connects the throat, which is pharynx, with the stomach. Esophagus is a muscular tube that connects the pharynx with the stomach. Okay, facilitating the passage of swallowed food and liquids through peristaltic contractions. Means they are like opens up, then pushes it down, opens up and pushes it down. That's the peristaltic contractions. The pharynx is a okay. Then go to the larynx. Okay, the larynx, also known as the voice box, is a specialized structure in the throat that houses the vocal cords and plays a key role in speech production and protecting the airway during swallowing. And we get to the answer. The pharynx is a common passageway for food, liquid, and air, connecting the nasal cavity, mouth, and larynx, and plays a crucial role in both swallowing and breathing. So the answer is pharynx. So you can see the epiglottis, right? Epiglottis is like a little muscular door that sits on top of the larynx into the pharynx. Okay, it's on top of the larynx into the pharynx. When you swallow, the epiglottis closes the larynx opening and lets whatever you are swallowing go to the esophagus. And when you breathe and when you speak, because you need air to speak, the epiglottis opens and lets the air through the pharynx. That's why your parents tell you not to speak while eating, because when you're swallowing something and you start to speak, the epiglottis can open up and the food can go into the larynx to the trachea, and it's going to burn your insides because they are not really made for the trachea, and the larynx is not made for food. Okay. Next question. In the figure shows a couple of forces is applied to a rotate of a wheel of 0.4 meter radius. How much is the moment of this couple? Okay, let's discuss about keywords first. Moment or moment. The moment of the force is the product of the force and the perpendicular distance of the line of action of the force from the axis of rotation. Let me say it in a normal way. Imagine you're trying to open the fridge door to get a snack. The force you apply on the door handle is what we call a moment of force. It's like how hard you push or pull to open the door. But it is not just about how hard you push, it also depends on where you push. How hard you have to push depends on where you push. If you push closer to the hinges, the door is harder to open because the distance is smaller. However, if you push further from the hinges, it's easier to push because there is more leverage. Okay, so the moment of force is about how hard you push and where you push, especially when something is trying to rotate around a fixed point. Moment is how hard you push and where you push. Okay, then we have a couple of forces. The two coplanar, that means two forces acting the same plane, the same line, the same surface. Forces of equal magnitude, two coplanar forces of equal magnitude acting in opposite direction along lines that are spaced apart, like shown in the diagram in our question. You should go to a nearest door you have and try to push it with the pinky finger. Try to push from the hinge, from the furthest from the hinges to the hinges. Try to push it and see how much force you can feel as you get closer to the hinges. Okay, let's calculate this. Moment of a couple of forces equals to the force times perpendicular distance between the lines of action of the two forces. So how far the forces are spaced apart. So radius is 0.4, so that means the whole thing is 0.8 meters. So 5 times 0.8 Newton meters is the answer. Answer is the second answer. Last one, 30th. What is the mole fraction of oxygen in a mixture containing 96 grams of oxygen and 56 grams of nitrogen? So this is the formula we use to calculate mole fractions. Mole fraction of A equals the amount of moles of A divided by the amount of moles of A plus amount of moles of B. That means the mixture, we divide what we want to know from the mixture to get the mole fraction of what we want to know. Okay, the amount of moles in what we want to know. The above formula is used to calculate the mole fraction. Okay, let's find amount of moles in nitrogen and O2, N2 and O2. 1 mole is equal to relative atomic mass in grams. I talked about this in more deeply in a previous video. I think it was the first one. So N2, 1 nitrogen is 14 at relative atomic mass. 14 plus 14, 28. And O2, 16 plus 16, 32. So we have 56 grams of nitrogen, right? So 56 has 228 grams. So like 56 divided by 28 is 2. Therefore, we have 2 moles of nitrogen. So 96 has 332 grams. 96 divided by 32 is 3. Therefore, we have 3 moles of O2. So we use the previous formula. Mole fraction of O2 equals the amount of moles of O2 divided by amount of moles of O2 plus amount of moles of N2. So 3 divided by 3 plus 2. So the numerator is 3, denominator is 5. It is equal to answer, the third answer. Okay. Thank you for joining in. This is the 6th one. If you're this far away along and you are still watching the videos, congratulations. You are putting more effort than most of your peers. And keep on doing what you're doing, okay? You'll get through this and you'll pass all levels with flying colors. Just read all of this and get the screenshots of the questions and answers, or you can email me and ask for the paper and read them again and again. When all levels is near, go through these. Don't try to study new things when all levels near, okay? Don't try to study new information when it's like one day before the O levels. Try to remember what you already learned quickly. If you like the video, like the video. If you have anything to ask, comment, and don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about the channel, okay?